Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and their professional teams struggle to find great capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the Deferred Sales Trust is the best way to exit your highly appreciated assets tax deferred so you can create, preserve, and grow more wealth. I'm your co-host, Pearson York, filling in for Brett Swarts. In each episode, I'm joined by some of the best wealth, business, real estate, and leadership individuals in the world to share ideas, deals, stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. As always, we're streaming on expertcresecrets.com, Capital Gains Tax Solutions YouTube channel, Facebook, Kingdom Luxury Realty Facebook channel, and the Kingdom Luxury Realty YouTube channel. So please rate, review, subscribe, share, thumbs up, notification bell. Am I missing anything? No, I think we're good. All that good stuff, though. And I'm super excited about our next guest. He's the founder of Boardwalk Wealth, a leading private equity sponsor, and they focus on value-add opportunities in Texas, Florida, Georgia, just across the southeast where everyone else is as well. And he's absolutely crushing it with 1,400 plus units. And we're gonna have a fantastic conversation. Omar Khan, how you doing, my friend?
Hey man, I'm good. What's up with you? What's going on? We had a little bit of those camera snafu starting out, but I think we're at a good spot now.
Yeah, I think we are. Do me a favor, and I'm going to coach you on the thing. Like, come up a little bit so your hair is like right next to the thing. So you look like we need to get that close up on that beautiful face of yours, man.
Yeah, I would have if my HD camera worked. You'd see all my hair in all its glory. I'm getting a little bit of that salt and pepper, so my wife tells me she kind of likes it.
Hey, there you go, touch of gray. There's a reason that guy's on the box, So
yeah, there's a reason why George Clooney isn't a B-list actor, man.
Hey, that's right. That's right. So tell me, how'd you get the touch of gray?
How did I get a touch of gray? I got married and I had 2 kids.
It had nothing to do with the 1,400 plus units you got, huh?
Maybe, but I think it was more to do with the marriage and getting 2 kids.
Well, hey, those are both blessings, like beyond belief. So good for you, man. Good.
Keep telling myself that every day, man.
Every day, man. You got to do it. So it's fantastic stuff. So tell me, how did you get into 1,400 doors?
Well, it wasn't like I planned on doing it, to be honest with you. What had happened is my background's in finance. I was in the capital markets, investment banking, M&A sort of world. I moved down to from Canada, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And my wife's a physician. Between her and I we were doing okay, right? I had a couple of family legacy investments that did spectacularly well for us. So we had to shelter some gains from there. I obviously was not privy to the DST at the time. So because of my background in putting and running and structuring deals on the institutional side, because of this tax issue that we had with a lot of gains, I put together my first set of deals. And from there on in, it was just one foot, putting one foot after the other, right? But again, I couldn't have done it if I didn't have a decade plus experience on the institutional side, running and structuring deals. And more importantly, if I didn't have a good personal and professional network, because I was lucky and privileged enough to go to very good schools, very good colleges. So that kind of helped me out.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me about those capital gains tax that you had.
It was just an old family legacy investment of ours in a trust. Obviously, when you sell it and the family's going in all their various ways, everybody wants to cash out, take the money. It was like 2 generations in the making. For us, for me at least, it was a nice, at that time it felt like a nice chunk of change. But one thing I knew for sure was that, it's like, every high incomer can probably relate to this. You look at your gross, you feel kind of nice about it. Then you look at your net and you feel kind of depressed about it, right? It was the same way as I looked at the gain. I was like, okay, that's a nice amount of money. I'm not going to say no to it, right? But then once I pay all, because we had practically no basis in the deal left. And what is my share going to be? What is the net going to be? And it was significantly less, right? And I was like, well, need to find some sort of solution for this. So the easiest, dumbest thing that I could possibly think was do a real estate deal, because you get so many tax write-offs. It's a good way to basically make money, get tax write-offs, all of that. So that's kind of how I started, right? And initially the idea was, hey, should I look at retail, hospitality, office, multifamily? And just through the process of elimination, I got to multifamily. It was like hospitality is it's very cyclical. So kind of wasn't feeling that, right? Retail is whatever you want to call it, is going through a bit of a slump in terms of retail real estate, not the actual businesses on top. Office was A, very computationally intensive, and B, again, I think it it was very lumpy in the sense that one tenant leaves. There's just a lot of stuff to do, right? Your risk management is a bigger issue in office space. So that basically left multifamily, because what I didn't want to do was get into, say, a vertical where, you buy smaller properties, right? Not that I'm buying really big properties, right? I mean, guys do like way more volume than I do, right? But what I didn't want to do was buy 2 or 3 houses, because that wasn't really going to solve our problem. And thankfully, by the grace of God, we were making enough money even at the start of our careers that cash flowing, say, an additional $100, $200 a month, or buying a house and the associated all the work with it, that wasn't a very enticing thing, at least for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that makes perfect sense, right? Like,
so a lot of this is process of elimination, right? As opposed to having like the big idea. It's like the big idea is to like be efficient on taxes and make money. But then process of elimination wise, it's like, I don't know, people did SATs back in their day, right? A lot of times you don't know the answer. You kind of triangulate that answer, right? Yeah. Kind of the same thing.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. And I love what you said there. It's like you got really, excited about the gross and depressed about the net, because it's absolutely true. And it's not what you make; it's what you keep.
It's 100%. It's what you keep. Doesn't even matter what you make.
It doesn't matter. And I try to explain that, and we've kind of coined this new phrase, tax flow versus cash flow, because at some point, right, like the taxes are going to eat into your profits so much, it makes the asset not worth as much.
Man, right? It's not even that. Like, it's so funny, like, because again, a lot of people in our social circle are either, say, guys like my social circle, investment bankers, private equity guys. Wife is a physician, so a lot of her friends are all doctors, right? And so these are all people making over 500 grand a year. And on average, even people that live in low or no state income tax states, right, they're easily paying a couple $100,000 in taxes, right, per person, right? So there's the couple of, say, both doctors or finance and doctor, right? They're easily paying a couple $100,000 in taxes. And simply what I tell them is, look, forget about making more money. Forget about that for the time being. If you were to just take the pile of taxes that you are paying right now, and you were able to figure out, say, some sort of solution to either get optimized on it, reduce your taxes by half. So if you're paying, say, $200,000 in taxes, you optimize it, maybe you cut your tax bill in half, making the same amount of money, right? That's an extra 100 grand a year, right? Yeah. That's a lot of money, man, because look, think about it. Most people, what are their big responsibilities? Kids' education, maybe a wedding, financial security, maybe taking a family vacation, all of that sort of stuff, just the usual stuff, right? And $100,000 extra per year on top of whatever you're doing. Let's put it this way. If your kid wanted to go to a private college and you started even 10 years before the kid has to go to college, you got an extra 100 grand a year, you can cause a lot of damage, man, to that goal without sacrificing anything in your personal life or anything of the sort.
Yeah, it's just about allocating your resources correctly and structuring
100%.
Like it's a lot of people don't get it. I was having this conversation with my old man. He's got a service-based business, brings in $1.5 million a year. He's got 0 bases. He's got 0 write-offs. I'm like, Pop, buy a building, buy something. Something. Do something. Stop writing $500,000 checks to the government. Like, what are you doing?
Because my point is, look, either you can enrich yourself or you can pay it to some government satrap. That's it. There's no in between. There is no like this or that, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, you're still not completely avoided taxes, because sales tax, car tax, breathing tax, dying tax, getting out of bed tax, you're paying all of that anyways.
Absolutely. Okay? Someone broke it down for me. It was really interesting. They're like, how much do you think the average American pays in taxes?
I think at least, like, even in low state income or no state income, you're easily paying 40 to 50% in taxes.
Right.
Minimum.
Yeah, he started breaking it down. He's like, gasoline tax, sales tax.
Hey, on food, if your food is imported, say, from Mexico, even though we have NAFTA, or say from Canada, or say Europe, you're paying custom and excise duties on your T-shirts. You're paying all of these duties. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like you don't realize it that you're going. And I'm all for paying our taxes, right? Like, I live in Newport Beach. They clean the beaches. They sweep the streets.
Oh, man, what a tough life. I really don't feel that bad for you.
No, don't feel bad.
I have told my wife, or rather my wife and I both decided, because we've got a couple of friends that live in Newport Beach, or used to at least. If you ever move to California, which we're not, Newport Beach, Santa Barbara, and maybe 1 or 2 places in the Bay Area are the only places we will ever consider moving if we can afford them.
Yeah, it's really expensive here. But my point to all that is, like, they clean the stuff, right? I'm cool with paying the tax. Like, yeah, I want the beaches to be clean and the streets to be clean, and you put it to wise uses, right? But I'm not trying to tip the government. Right? I'll pay my due. I'll pay my bill, but I'm not tipping them. They don't give me that good service.
Hey, you're already paying them every time you go buy food. You're paying a sales tax, right?
Absolutely. So okay. So I'm glad we're on the same page with that. So how do people, as a principal broker at Boardwalk Wealth, right? How do
I'm not a broker. I'm just a principal. I'm not a broker.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Principal, not a broker.
Yeah, I'm not a broker, man. I own the assets outright with my investors, basically.
Okay.
I'm on the buy side. See, I'm not on the sell side, right?
Gotcha. Okay. So only buying. How do you how do you not have to pay your tips? How are you eliminating?
Well, number one, in my case, for instance, I'm a real estate professional, right? So in our personal household case, I can tell you, I'm a real estate professional. So all these deals I do, all these investments I do, I get a lot of tax write-offs.
Absolutely.
So they offset against our entire set of household active income, whatever you want to call it, right?
Okay.
In the case of our investors, a lot of them are, say, the investors that are, say, both doctors or doctor finance or doctor real estate agent, some are lawyer real estate agent, like both partners are making a lot of money.
Of course.
In their case, basically, yeah, they invest with us. They get some of the tax write-offs, but obviously they just have to carry all their loss pools forward, right? I mean, I still carry my loss pools forward, but just because there's only so much income and my write-offs are a lot more, right? So in their case, if they're salaried, they've got non-real estate businesses, which they're really crushing on. So in their case, they continue investing, get tax advantage, and I guess just go from there, right? It's a little bit of a tax advantage. But for people that say one person is, say, really skewed, right? One person makes a lot of money, the partner might be stay at home or doesn't make a lot of money, then that partner typically gets into real estate to get the real estate professional designation. And then the person that makes a lot of money, they then invest a lot of money into deals, ours and otherwise, right? Get all the tax write-offs, use that to offset against your household income.
Yeah, absolutely. So 1,400 doors is a good amount. So are you operating these yourselves? Are you syndicating these? How are you guys managing these?
No. I operate these myself. I
Everything
syndicate.
yourself.
Yeah. I mean, look, I syndicate most of it, not all of it out. I have a lot. I'm very lucky and privileged to have lots of investors, partners that give us money, right? But we're managing all of these, man. Like, I'm very operationally intensive. Like every week, I have at least like 8 to 10 hours worth of where, I mean, I have teams. You've got to realize this is not a one-man show, right? So when I say I don't mean to mean I is a bad word. I mean, it's not just me. I've got a whole team, but we're very operationally intensive. We're very on the ground, taking care of all these things. And by the way, a lot of these things are related to each other, right? Because we're operationally intensive. That's why, for instance, when there's a deal in our market, sub-market, we probably already either seen it. We already kind of know what the cost structure is like, what the revenue structure is like. So this way, when a broker calls me, I'm able to move very quickly versus say somebody who might be new to the market, might not be as hands-on of a manager, right? So that's where you would think, hey, you're just operating the deal, but it also becomes a business development advantage as well. Absolutely. Because you're operating the deal so intensely, you kind of just have a feel, okay, where's the price, where's the expense, where's the revenue, how quickly can I move on something? And that in and of itself is a big competitive advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're buying in Texas, Florida, Georgia,
and South Dakota. I developed in South Dakota. We've got 2 developments right now. We've got another one coming up, Rolling Greens, about 144 units, and another phase 2 of our initial development. That'll be about 200 units, right? So that's all in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Started off in Texas. I think we still got one asset left there, but it's mostly Georgia and Florida and surrounding markets now for acquisitions.
Yeah, awesome. So are you actively buying right now?
Yeah. I'm always in the market. I'm actually closing a deal next month. I just closed a deal. It's like a 104 unit deal. This started this month. That just fell into my lap, and I'm closing another 100 plus unit deal next month. And yeah, I've got a couple more coming up.
How are you financing these deals? Is it just syndications? Are 100% syndicated? You guys doing debt equity? You guys?
Oh yeah. I don't know. You have to be. I mean, you have to have some component of debt, otherwise you're not hitting your numbers, right? So we get debt from agencies, from bridge debt, bridge companies, life cos. I mean, what happens is we have an asset. We'll work with our capital markets broker, go out to the open market, get bids or term sheets from various lenders, and just pick the one, whichever one works best for us.
How easy is it for you guys to get financed?
It's not that hard.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's really not that hard.
If you're in the market for more financing, We'll have to talk offline because I got a friend.
Okay, sure. I mean, yeah, I'm not opposed to it, but it's really not that hard because uh, we have great relationships with Walker and Dunlop, CBRE, JLLs, all of that. So far, touch
You're
wood.
solid.
Just want to say it right now. Don't want to have these as famous last words, but so far it's not. Now you're really making me concerned. Actually, should I know something?
Hey, no. So, what's your strategy with these? Your value adds, right? So you're
Most of them are either value adds or they're mismanaged opportunities. So some of the value adds are either distressed, right? But for instance, last year I acquired a Class A property. It was completely mismanaged. It was owned by a family office. They had run it into the ground, even though it was a Class A. They had done every single stupid thing you could possibly think about. And on top of that, they were in a time crunch because their loan was maturing and they hadn't refinanced or done anything of the sort. So we could basically come in last minute and kind of get it at a discount.
That's beautiful. Nice. So
there has to be an element of distress or mismanagement, right? Because sometimes the asset could be fine, but if you run it into the ground, that's a mismanaged asset, right? It's not getting its potential.
Okay, so mismanaged assets, distressed assets that you're taking, value adding, putting 20, 10, 15, 20 grand a door into.
Anything? No. Sometimes it's even as low as $5,000 a unit. Man.
$5,000 a door. Okay.
Yeah, dude, you've got to realize a lot of times when assets are mismanaged, the asset is perfectly fine. You got to do some stuff right on it.
Okay.
It's not the asset; it's a manager issue. Every single person on the planet thinks that suddenly, especially in the last few years, you can't lose money in real estate. So every person who can't even add two numbers together, can't create a simple model, is now showing up to the party. And yes, some of them acquire assets and they've been bailed out, so they made money, right? But bad habits eventually have a tendency to catch up with you very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So then are you, increasing the NOI on these properties? Are you turning around and you selling them, or what's your exit strategy?
Look, obviously the NOI increase has to be there. Otherwise we can't make money, right? So I either refinance the asset or we sell it to a 1031 move on. Or not, or we just sell it outright because for instance, if I can't find a 1031, and now I know about DST, so I was talking to Brett about it, right? But yeah, that's a simple model. We get in, we underwrite for a 5-year hold. We're typically holding him for 2 to 3 years. And then the whole point is recycle capital quickly in big chunks and do it in a tax efficient manner.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you're going to be doing a 1031, right, what's your biggest frustration with that 1031?
Well, usually it's a timing issue, right? But now these days it's less issue. And because the market is so volatile, so a lot of the weaker players are getting out. So it is hopefully less of a timing issue now, basically. But again, with DSTs, like I talked to Brett, that's a different thing we haven't tested before, and we're very hopeful and excited to test that out.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a phenomenal strategy for those of you who don't know, what a DST is. It's called a Deferred Sales Trust, and basically what it allows people to do is it allows people to sell a highly appreciated asset, not just commercial real estate, but a primary home or stock or Bitcoin or business or what am I missing? Primary homes, anything that's highly appreciated, piece of art, and go ahead and defer the asset into and transfer that into like kind agnostic assets. So you can go from real estate to stocks or business or crypto or whatever it is, and just maintain you don't have to maintain that like kind type of thing on what's most important, in my opinion, is your timing.
Yeah, so timing is that was a big attractive feature for it, right? Yeah. More than anything else, it was a timing factor. And again, you learn, you figure out some deals are very good for a DST, some deals are not, and some deals, a lot of times there's actually a study, I think, done by one of the big 4 accounting firms, that a lot of guys that actually do 1031s, it's actually worse for investors. Wow. And the reason is, it's really shocking when people learn about it, because a lot of times guys, it's mostly guys, women are never that dumb, right? What they do is they'll throw good money after bad, then they'll do a good deal and they get this heavy return, and in their haste to actually save on taxes or optimize on taxes, they'll just invest into an awful deal. And now all the good stuff you did in the past is wiped out by all this dog of a deal you put your money into.
Yeah, and we like to call that, don't let the
tax tail wag the investment dog. Yeah. But hey, lots of guys do it. They're very susceptible to it, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're doing syndications, right? So when you sell these assets, and one of the benefits to a deferred sales trust is, with a 1031, everyone's got to go with you, right? So if you guys don't like Billy anymore, Billy's still got to go with you, or he blows the whole thing up.
No, I mean, you can do partial. You can buy people out as well, basically.
So yeah, so you can buy people out, right? But if you have to buy them out, are you guys having to come out of pocket for capital?
To be honest with you, again, touch wood. Don't want these to be famous last words. So far, it's not been an issue, right? Most of our investors are very sticky, but yeah, that could be an issue, right? If 80% of your investors say, "Hey, screw it, I don't want to do 1031," right? Well, that's a very different ballgame than one person in your roster of 30 people saying, "I don't want to do it."
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And
so a lot of times it depends on the people who you're with, all of that sort of stuff. And that's why there is no, I wish there was a magic bullet, right? You do this and everything is done. And that's why you got to be, it's just a process where you have to keep learning. You have to figure out what's best for you, what's best for the deal, and use those tools to accomplish the tasks or goals that you have in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the best things is that it's an arrow in the quiver.
Yeah.
Right. It's a powerful arrow, right? Maybe it's a flaming arrow. Yeah. But it's definitely a tool in the toolbox to use, and it works well in conjunction with other, with other tax strategies, And so I was talking to a guest the other day on the podcast, and we were talking about how to use opportunity zones with energy and drilling for oil to defer a bunch of capital gains tax, and it was brilliant. I was like, that's super awesome. Like, how you can do that, right? There's abundance of oil reserves out there that you can basically go into the opportunity zone. You get more time, they're more abundant, and there's a bunch of tax benefits for.
And I think there's some depreciation benefits also. Like you can, I think 100% of some oil and gas leases. I might be confusing these things, but in oil and gas, you have very accelerated depreciation over just conventional real estate as well.
Yeah, it's a great rule, and it goes hand in hand with opportunity zones and deferred sales trusts and all this stuff. So my point to all of that is that it goes back to what we were kind of talking about earlier, right? The tax flow versus cash flow, and just your ability to to maximize to maximize the benefits and the loopholes.
Well, my point at the end of the day is to maximize how much money you get to keep and not have it leak out. As long as you maximize that, it doesn't really matter what you call it. You can call it whatever you want to call it, as long as you have all of your money or as much of it as possible in your pocket. Now, look, if you want to choose and donate to the homeless, go for it. You want to write the government a check, go for it. Don't let me get in the way. But you should have the ability to do it, not somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is your what's your next phase of buying and selling look like in the next couple of years, given what's going on in the economy?
Look, a few people have actually asked me that question. To be honest with you, for us, nothing's changed. I mean, look, we're always pricing in market data. We're always going up to the minute variables. And we have a little buy box in terms of return structures, right? So if our returns are in that buy box, obviously we update to market and all of that, we go to a deal. The return's not in that buy box, we don't do a deal, right? So whether it's good time or bad, the story is kind of the same, man, because in good times, for instance, you lose out on a lot of deals, but in bad times, the problem becomes you might not get a lot of debt or equity, right? So you have to stay the course. You have to be consistent across the board. And, cycles come and go, man. As long as you're conservative going in, you've got a buy box, you've got an operational strategy, you've got a great team, things tend to work out for the best. So for us, nothing's really changed. Market conditions change, and we update our models to work with the market conditions. Right. But at the end of the day, we're very model driven, we're very quantitative, data driven. And for us, what really matters is how much money can we extract out of a deal, as opposed to, hey, the picture of property A looks better than the picture of property B.
Yeah, absolutely. So how are you shifting your models then to match the market? That's a very interesting concept.
Just the variables change, the model stays the same. So for instance, if you have floating rate debt, guys, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, you could just assume a 10 basis point increase in rates and nothing would have happened, but you could look conservative, right? But for instance, if you don't incorporate the forward curve right now, you're going to get hosed. I mean, that's just the way it is, right? So look, what are you doing? As an example, if you're taking floating rate debt, you take the forward curve into account, because that is a big predictor of what's going to happen. Now, it's always a big predictor. Just in the last 2 or 3 or 4 years, there just wasn't enough volatility, so guys could get away with not doing that. For instance, with regards to lenders, at least in our spaces, A and Bs, what you're seeing is basically lenders, at least right now, are taking off some of the leverage. I don't know if that makes sense. First, somebody was giving you 75%, they're giving you 70% now. The guy that was giving you 70 is maybe giving you 68, 65% now, right? On the leverage side, rates are obviously priced. If it's flow, actually even with fixed, rates are priced to market. So the most a lender can do is charge a spread on top of that, right? And that's why you have multiple bids to see who's giving you the best terms. But I mean, that's kind of about it. I mean, then a lot of times people go with aggressive lenders. The problem with aggressive lenders is they'll retrade you right at the end because they know you can't go anywhere, right? So you always got to take somebody, like if some guy or girl is so out there. I mean, look, everybody tells you rate X, but there's this one person who's telling you a completely different rate, and it's so much more enticing. Don't go with that person. 10 times out of 10, that person will retrade you right at the end. There will be some screw up, and you'll be left hanging, basically.
And that's actually really, really good advice. So those guys who are saying, hey, I can do, 3% in a 5% market, you're just like,
it's not going to happen, man. Unless somebody has a magic wand that they can just go like this. And by the way, if somebody could do 3% in a 5% market, they probably not going to talk to you. They'll be making so much money, they don't need to do real estate. Yeah. They've got lots of other areas where you can get a lot more money, basically.
Interesting. Okay. Are you looking to diversify at all?
Yeah, we do developments. For instance, I have investments in a couple other businesses. I have a restaurant business. It's nothing to do with the real estate. Like, we don't own the underlying real estate. I just compiled a very experienced team over the past 2 years. We're going to launch that. That is just the asset light, right? In the sense you don't own the underlying real estate. You have business on top. We get the retail leases, like I was telling you earlier, right? Retail is going through a bit of a patch. Like, the businesses on top are doing fine, but the retail real estate is you have to be very picky and choosy, right? So, I mean, right now, for instance, we signed a lease where the yearly escalator is 2%. So this means my rent will only increase by 2%. Heck, dude, inflation is like 8 or 9% right now, right? So I don't even know how this guy's going to make money on us, because the rate we have will only increase 2%, and we can increase our prices 5 or 6% a year to offset that thing, right? So that's where, for instance, on the retail side, we're starting that restaurant business. It's a phenomenal business, high margins. So, but again, you've got to be really picky and choosy. Like, I know a lot of guys, whatever one thing they're doing, they only just want to do that one thing. For us, it's very opportunistic from day one. I mean, again, real estate is only a byproduct, right? The real reason why we're doing this is to make money for our partners, for our investors, for ourselves. Whether it's real estate, it's restaurants. Heck, dude, you make me stand outside the McDonald's, wave one of those sandwich boards that says, hey, eat a burger here, right? Yeah, if I make more money, I'll do that. Who cares, right? The point is to, lead an enriched life. The point isn't to, like, I don't know, say you got 5 houses or 10 houses or whatever, 1,400 homes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The houses are only valuable if they produce capital.
Yeah.
Unless you want to live in one, right? And then that's a different story.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it has to have some intrinsic value. There has to be some reason why you're doing it, right? I mean, I see a lot of guys want to do deals, and I was like, well, what's the point? You're going to lose money. But I'll do a deal. I was like, okay, great, go for it.
Yeah, well, don't do deals with me if you want to lose money. I don't want to do those deals. I'm with it. All right, cool. Any thoughts in, like, self-storage or mobile home parks?
No, I know lots of guys that do it. I've got a couple of friends who are primarily mobile home park sponsors. For me, the deal with mobile home parks was it was very hard to scale in mobile home park. I didn't want to chase my tail for $2 or $3 million deals. I can do 10 of them because, I mean, man, I don't have a lot of brain cells to begin with, and I don't want to lose the ones I don't, the few that I have, right? And I know a couple of guys who do self-storage deals. That's a great business model. You can scale a lot in that vertical, but I haven't done it. But they're both very good verticals. Like, I know guys who do this for a living. They're doing phenomenally well for themselves, for their investors, and for their partners.
All right, and then last question. So, are you doing any sort of, like, conversion, like hotel conversions to multifamily?
So we looked into it. I know it's the flavor of the month. A lot of people talk about it on social media. At least the hotels that we looked at, we just weren't getting enough of a discount to multifamily, because when you get a hotel, you still got to put in 15, 20 grand a unit to convert it, right, to multifamily. So again, not saying it's not possible, because enough guys are doing it, but the deal that I saw, there just wasn't enough of a discount between conventional multifamily and hotels, because you get the hotel and then you got to add some capex on it, right? So
Right.
there just wasn't enough discount there for me to be bothered, basically.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's not a good strategy. I know a few guys who say they're doing it, but we'll find out very soon whether it works or it doesn't work.
Yeah. So if it works, they're going to come back and be like, hey, check this out. And if it doesn't, you're going to be like, glad I stayed out of that
No,
one.
but my point is, look, you can't do everything, right? You got to
Right.
pick your lane. Eventually, you have to pick a few lanes in life, right? Ideally one, but at least pick 2 or 3, right? And just, you can't be everything for everyone. And look, in the case of mobile home park self-storage, I know a couple of guys have given them my money. They can go invest, right? Because they're the specialists in that area. So yeah, I could try to learn. Maybe I'll be okay at it, but do I really want to do that? That's not the best and highest usage of my time, right? Somebody who's a specialist there can do that, and this way they can make money. I can make money. It's a great thing, right? And then I can focus on what I'm really good at.
Yeah, I think that's really wise, because there are times when I just like get shiny object syndrome. I'm like, ooh, over here, like, oh, I want to do that, And you're right, just let the experts do it and just be an LP.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I know a lot of people, like I've got a couple of guys I know they're in real estate and they're like, well, I don't want to give my money to another real estate guy. I can just do it myself. I was like, sure. I mean, how many hours do you have in the day? Right? But I got a family. I like spending time with them. I have a life, right? And anyways, say the guy who's an expert at mobile home park, by the time I become if I can come even like say 90% of the way to that guy, right? He already would have blown way past me. Right. So why even bother? And again, they should do what they're really good at. We should do what, I mean, it's the same as I don't go change my car's oil, right?
Right.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes a ton of sense. So awesome. Well, Omar, we're kind of coming up on our time here, but I wanted to quickly get into the lightning round with you. So you ready?
I don't know. You're making me, man, you're saying a lot of words. I should be really scared today. What's up?
What's your favorite leadership quote?
Oh, yeah. One of my mentors told me the graveyard is filled with irreplaceable people.
All right. What about what's your favorite book?
Oh, I read extensively, man. So that book keeps changing from time to time. Like, what did I just read? That was the other day. I like to read either really interesting stuff or really trashy stuff, right? Really trashy stuff. So I was reading a book on the history of Coca-Cola. There was something on Chick-fil-A. Some guy sent me this book on 15 Central Park West. It was a big real estate development in New York. So man, I read all over the place.
Giant skyscraper?
Well, it's a condo building, right?
Yeah.
It's very
the luxury condos.
Oh yeah, man. They've sold. It's one of the most expensive in the world, I think. Yeah.
Putting in small bones kitchens on each one of them. And
15 Central Park West. I mean, it's really interesting. So look, for me, it's all over the place. I just read to have fun. Like I'm not, like I know some people just want to read self-help books all the time. Man, that gets exhausting very quickly. Like I can't just always be fixing myself, right? And all the things I do bad and all the things I can improve myself on, I can't do that all the time. I just get annoyed after a while. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense, because you're never gonna be as good as the books want you to be. And then
plus, I mean, I quite enjoy reading, right? So I don't want to always be stressed about all the things I'm not doing correctly.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I really like your attitude on things, man. That's awesome. All right, last question. What's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Oh, it's the same thing as a graveyard quote. They're all somewhat similar, right? I mean, don't get high off your own supply. That's a pretty good quote, right? The whole point is, you're going to get slaughtered if you become too much of a pig, right? So kind of just stay in your lane, kind of figure things out, keep developing, keep chipping away at targets, right? 1%, 2%, 3%. I think there was a basketball player, LeBron James or Steph Curry, somebody would say, one of their coaches, his coaches told him, whoever this player was, that, hey, I don't need you improving for us to win the championship. All I want y'all to do is every day, I just want you to be 1% better. That's it. I do not want you going from a guy, who's dunking to a guy who's like shooting threes from the half line. All I want you to do, 1% a day. That's it. Nothing else. So as long as you can do that, we're going to be fine.
Yeah, I love it. Cool. All right, Omar, any final words?
No, the final words are I'm very appreciative and glad that, you had me on your show. And all I want to tell people is, look, anybody who tells you that their entire worldview and strategy has changed just based on 1 month's worth of interest rate movements is an idiot. Do not work with that person. Okay, you need to have a consistent strategy. You need to work with experts, and everybody who's an expert in their area, you should let them work. Right? No, you should trust but verify.
Yeah.
But don't like work with people who are up one day, down the other, left one day, right the other. You got to work with people who are somewhat even-keeled.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I really like that. So, all right, where can people find you if they want to get in on some of these units of yours?
So look, you can go to our website, boardwalkwealth.com, BOARD walkwealth.com. Right on the front page, you'll see an opt-in menu. I think that's on the right. Name, email address, how you found out about us. Enter those details. There's some button there. Just click on it. It's a very obvious button. You cannot miss it, right? And you'll get an email. Click on the link to verify yourself so Google or whoever knows we're not spamming you. And then you'll start hearing all of my wise words every 2 weeks.
Awesome. Cool. And if you guys are interested in learning more about the Deferred Sales Trust, you can come to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. On there's a link. You can come to our mastermind, which is every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And that's a reoccurring meeting. So go check that out. There's a ton of information on our YouTube channel. Keep listening to the podcasts. All of that can be found at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. If you're interested in a Newport Beach and you have a highly appreciated asset that you want to liquidate, you can reach out to me personally at Pierce at kingdomluxuryrealty.com or go to my website, kingdomluxuryrealty.com. And you can find me there for that. Go check out Omar's units and at boardwalkwealth.com, guys. And thank you again for coming on, Omar. I really appreciate it. It was an awesome interview. And thanks again, everybody, for listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. As always, we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy. Using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the Deferred Sales Trust, the best way to create, preserve, and grow your wealth. So, guys, please rate, review, subscribe, share, thumbs up, like button, notification bell. Am I missing anything?
I don't know. I think you covered a lot. If you do all of those things, I think the one thing you missed is not going to matter. Yeah.
Get better today.
The one thing you missed is not going to matter if everybody does all the other stuff.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. All right. So thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. Omar, thanks.